Okay, I believe this thing is working. Check, check. Okay, we are live. Looks like it's working. Can you hear me? Can you see me? We talking about Bitcoin, and I want to give some really hard truths and some hard reminders. I want everyone in here making money. So we're going to talk about the markets here. That's what we're going to start off with. Can you hear me? Can you see me? Something was glitchy for me when I tried to go live, but I think we're okay. Do let me know. Bitcoin, what is happening with Bitcoin? I think I had 3 or 4 DMs. Morning, what's up on what's happening with Bitcoin, blah, blah, blah. I will say this. You will never regret taking profit, ever. Who here, whether you're live or watching the replay, has been here for the last cycle? Who here didn't take the profits they know they should have? And humans are an interesting bunch because we forget. That was a couple years ago. We kind of forget. I see a lot of people making the same mistake. Now, I'm not saying, take profit now. I'm not sure on your profit taking strategy. What up? What up? Morning, MMF. I'm not saying take profit. I'm not saying to do anything. But what I am saying is have a plan on when you're going to be laddering out. Because statistically, and I hate to say this, but statistically, 90% of people will be the 10% exit liquidity. They'll either be buying the top or trying to time the top. This is it's a bloodbath. It's not a fair game that's being played here. And if you can't accept that, then that's totally cool. Like, just buy Bitcoin for the next 30, 40 years, treat it like gold. Nothing fundamentally wrong with that. But if you want to profit off the cycles, just know that have a profit taking strategy. Our brain is a really interesting thing. I was teaching someone this, or I was talking to someone about this. By the way, welcome. We are going to be doing a giveaway today. And just like last time, I'll be picking a random winner from the comments. So definitely engage and, let me know what's landing as we go through this. I was talking to someone about this, and a lot of our brains we humans are an interesting bunch because let's say we see Bitcoin go to 100 grand. Let's just say, which I think we will. But anyways, I can't control that. There are forces beyond our control that manipulate the markets, just so we know. If you think our little Bitcoin purchases and what we do, come on, things are manipulated. We know it. And let's just say Bitcoin goes to 100 grand. I got a ladder out strategy. I'm basically about 80% out of my Bitcoin position at 120K Bitcoin. I sell on my way out. And let's just say Bitcoin goes to 180 and I missed that 60K run. I'm not stupid enough to think that I would have sold the top at 180. I probably would have bounced off the top, maybe sold at 140, or maybe just held on. And this is where people go wrong, is they see their balance, right? They see their balance going up. So, and so let's just say your balance goes up to whatever, it doesn't really matter. You got a 10 grand, 50 grand, 100 grand, $1 million, $5 million. I don't care. You see it go all time high, and then the markets start taking a turn, and we're like, oh, but I had 400 grand. Now it's only worth 350. I'm going to wait. Or I had $20,000. Now it's worth 14. I'm going to wait for it to come back. And that's where people go wrong. And please don't be shy to admit that you've made that mistake, because I have, and it cost me a lot of money. I am so diligent with taking profit, and I get attacked every time I do. People laugh. Haha, you're selling now already? Dude, you're selling at $10. It's going to go to 20. I'm like, it could, but I'm going to take some off the table. I'm going to lock in the profit because that's real. And those same people will ride it to 20, get greedy, think it'll go to 30, and then it crashes down to 8. It's always the same thing. That is why most people lose this game. If I could just give people one message, it would be that. That's the same with liquidity pools. That's the same with different projects and different pools and whatever we're doing. I'll share my screen in a second here. Lock in the profits. You're never going to regret it. And there's been so many times where I lock in the profits, things would crash or correct. And then I take those profits and just reinvest them back in and ride the next wave. There's always little mini cycles within the big cycle, always. Today doesn't surprise me. Some people are like, oh my God, Bitcoin's up 12%. I've seen it go up 20%. I've seen it go down 20% in short periods of time, like within a day. It's not, if you're in lower cap or mid cap stuff, you've seen stuff move 100, 200%. This doesn't surprise me. But when I start getting friends or people who don't know anything about crypto messaging me saying, should I buy stuff? I'm like, yeah, I'm going to take some profits off the table because they're a reflection of what a lot of other people are doing. And I just don't want y'all falling into that deal. I don't care when you take the profits. I don't care what your plan is. Just please have a plan. Does everyone here have a plan? I could talk about laddering out for a few quick moments if you want. Does everyone have a plan on taking profit? It is personally why I like liquidity pools. I also get attacked for this, but I'm locking in the profits every single day. And as assets appreciate, I may get converted into, let's just say, a stable coin, unless I'm in more of a correlated pair. I don't mind because I'd be taking profits on the way up. There's been so many times. This happened with ARB about 4 times. This happened with SUI 3 times. Right, where my assets would appreciate, I can convert it all into stablecoin, I'd exit the pool, the token would dump, I'd re-enter the pool, rinse and repeat. I'm earning fees the whole time, and I keep earning more of that underlying asset, and I'm putting it in my bull run. Let's have a quick look at some things here. I'm gonna share my screen. By the way, if you're joining us, hello, welcome. Today's a bit of a more quiet live here. We usually have a lot more people. But if you're watching live or you're watching the replay, do let me know if anything lands. Don't be shy. We also pick giveaway winners from the comments. Okay, let me go like this. Nope, let me go like that. I think that'll work. Let's do that. That looks kind of cool. Okay. Yeah, so first of all, we're already seeing a little mini correction. I think $70,000 Bitcoin's incoming quick, but I'm also sometimes wrong. I'm always locking in the profits, but it's pretty crazy. 20%, 14% over the last 7 days for Bitcoin and ETH. You know, beating a lot of the alts. I'm waiting for alts to pump hard. I do hold Doge. I do hold AVAX. I do hold Matic. I do hold some Shiba. I do hold Uniswap. I hold any kind of native DEX, and I don't buy the DEX tokens. Um, I don't buy the DEX tokens, by the way. We'll go into that later. Where am I? What am I looking for? Yes. I joined liquidity pools to earn them. So today I got another $100 of cake tokens that I claimed um, through my liquidity pool, which I have two. I have a BNB and a cake, and then I have a USDT and a cake. But the point is, um, I want to build a business, a DeFi business that gets me the assets I want more of. Sui is one of them. I've been doing that with Sui for a long time. Cosmos, Osmosis, I had, I think, $4,800. Now I've got $5,500, and it's now converted to Osmosis as I look for my next pool I want to join. I'm looking for about 100%. I'll probably join the Osmo and the USDC pool. Um, Probably this one. There was another one that I was looking at that was, I think it was this fee tier. Just liquidity was low. Anyway, I got to make up my mind with what I'm doing there. The point is, I want to get more of whatever asset I'm looking to stack. And then what do I do with it? I move. I think we've seen more than this. Yeah, there it is. I move. This is $54,000 in a week. And then I take some profits off the table. That's 21% in a week. People spend 2 years making that kind of return. I don't know what's on my Tangem here, but my Tangem holds a lot of the alts. So it's probably way up. I'm not doing this to brag. I'm just trying to show you what's possible. Let me see if I can share my screen here. Or come on, Lucas, figure it out. Where am I? There I am. Let me stop sharing my screen. Yeah, I need some Mace token. That is also up almost 10K. You can't see that. I think that's at 61-ish. 61K, and that's up about 10K. I hold a lot of AVAX. ARB, which isn't too impressive right now, 4.2%. Radiant, which I've been yield farming Radiant for the longest freaking time. Yeah, what I just showed you is my bull run portfolio. And it's boring. It's heavy on the big cap stuff. It's heavy in BTC and ETHs. And then it's basically split fairly equally. It was between alts. Now that alts are sort of all over the place, that allocation has shifted. And I have a ladder out point at different points. It's that simple. And when I hit that point, I take some off the table. And then if things go back, basically it looks like this. I know I have it in this. So you have a 20% increase. How much percent profit? Oh, I'll probably take 10% of that, like 24,000, maybe $20,000 of profit. I do have a trip planned in June, and that trip is paid for by the profits I'll take off that. It's a 2-week trip. It probably cost around 20K, and I don't want to pay for it because I'm cheap. I don't like paying for shit. My Audi R8, I don't pay for it. The date nights that we go on Wednesdays, I don't pay for it. If you can have that philosophy in life of I will invest in assets and those assets will pay me so those assets can produce my income. I'm all about that. When I got into this game, by the way, I was living in Mexico and we had a date night every week. It was on a Wednesday. It was around 250 bucks. And I was just like, you know what? I wasn't really working. I kind of semi-retired for a little bit, got out of a business, and I was like, let's just go to Mexico and figure my next phase of my life out. And I was like, I don't really want to dip into our savings. How could I pay for date night? 250 bucks ish. When we go out, it's about 250 bucks. How can I produce yields that will help me make that? And within the first week in DeFi, I figured it out. Date nights were free. And that became a really addictive and fun game to play. How could I cover my car? How could I cover the house? How could I cover this? How could I cover a trip? How could I cover whatever that may be? And it's a game I choose to play because I think it goes so far beyond crypto DeFi, so far beyond crypto DeFi. Crypto and DeFi is a tool, but it goes so far beyond that is how can you take and have your money work for you so you can buy back your time and do the things you enjoy doing with people you want to do it with and buy the most precious resource back, which is time. That's why I'm really big on getting profits off the table and using that to buy back time. Because I understand that, and this took me a long time to learn, by the way, that money just sitting there is worthless. Money just sitting there is worthless. Money needs to be moving. It needs to be circulating. It needs to be exchanging hands. You need to get rid of it and put it in the markets for it to make a return for you. And I think so many people are still stuck in a poor and middle class mentality. I grew up in a trailer park. One of the years of depression, pills, alcohol. I get it. Like I know how low someone can be, and I also know what it's like to have no one around who speaks or talks like this. But imagine, I read this somewhere and it just hit me a while ago, but imagine if, because a lot of people will say, well, they can do it, but I can't. And I always find that so interesting. Or, and it's like, well, why do you feel that? Well, because I've never done it. Imagine if we didn't try things and do things if we've never done them. Friends, what's up? Like at some point, we chose to learn how to walk. We've never walked before. But imagine if, and that's why kids are so freaking awesome because they're just like, we'll try it. Yep. I'm curious. My brain, I'm not closed-minded yet. It took me 4 years to get back to thinking like a kid again because you become an adult, you get all left up, you build all these paradigms, you build what you think is possible in your mind. I thought if I could make 8 grand, 6 grand a month, that was like my ceiling in life. I chose to believe that at some point. What up, Vinish? Great strategy. So, and then at some point, I got around someone doing 20K a month, and then got around someone doing 50K a month, and it just became possible. Then I got someone around doing 100K a month. Recently I met a 24-year-old. He's doing over $1 million a month. So imagine if we just didn't do things because we've never done them before. As kids, we do that, but at some point, it's like we stop. We become. I mean, I see it in the comments all the time. I see it on Twitter all the time. That's impossible. Well, it's impossible for you. Thank you for your opinion, but it's impossible for you. Instantly, we'll call something a scam if they think they can't do it. It's so interesting to me. And that's totally fine. I really don't care. But I feel like being open-minded, not just saying yes and blatantly saying yes to everything, because I think 90% of crypto is a scam. But what's up, Dwayne? But remaining open-minded and then researching and making up your own mind and escaping the paradigms that we've created for ourselves. The Big Leap, that's one of my favorite books. I think it's a book worth reading and studying and doing the exercises once a year, which I still do to this day. It's been 8 years because I hit ceilings as well. I remember having a goal of like, I'm going to make $100,000 a month. And that was like literally my goal in life. And when I started hitting that, and that was with the last business, it was really hard for me to break that ceiling because in my mind, that's the ceiling I placed for myself. When I say that, a lot of people say, I don't believe you. That's impossible. Scam. Like, that's fine. I really don't give a shit. Um, I've shared screenshots in the past, Stripe accounts, like all of that, but I still couldn't convince someone. So finally, I just gave up trying to convince people. I'm like, I'm not gonna try to convince someone that you could do more than you're currently doing in all areas of life. It could be greater levels of love, greater levels of connection, greater levels of life force, life energy, greater levels of fitness, greater levels of money, financial abundance, greater levels of whatever that may be. Um, and it really took for me, it really took, I know I'm kind of bouncing all over the place, but I just want to finish the story. It really took um, removing myself from my friends' network back in the day, removing myself from anything and anyone in any situation that placed a limitation on me, surrounding myself with books. I never went to college university, by the way, which I also get hate for that. Is like, who are you to like teach? I'm like, I don't really care what you have to say. But never went to school, never went to university, never went to college, didn't get the best grades, wasn't that book smart. Um, because I never wanted to learn any of that stuff. What do I care about freaking geometry? What do I care about the history of like a part of the country of I just really don't care. Now, when I started studying stuff that I'm engaged with, I can be and study for 6 hours straight. My brain is like a sponge. When I started realizing, Lucas, you're really smart. I think everyone is. Just study the stuff that makes you on a cellular level, makes you feel alive. I do these meditations in the morning and I won't get up and start my day until I feel electricity basically running through my body electric and shooting through my fingertips, connected to God, connected to the universe, connected to myself, my truth. And then I start the day. And how much you can retain and how quick you can learn when you're in a high frequency, high vibrational state, what you can build, what you can create when you get your mind out of the way. It's like, I mean, I truly believe anything is possible. Well, Lucas, like we couldn't just fly. Well, you could because you could build a plane. Humans are, it's ridiculous what we're capable of. And so I really believe in all of that. All that to say, how I started this whole thing off is you'll never regret taking profit. Don't think you're gonna time the top. Because statistically, 90, I really want this to land. 90% of people in crypto and DeFi, in crypto, especially when we're talking about the cycles, lose. There's someone else's exit liquidity. And I think everyone says the same thing, including me sometimes. Oh, but that won't be me. Well, you have a 1 in 10 chance of that not being you. You're either really good at what you do, you're watching markets all day long, you have insider information and access to people, or you're just extremely lucky. For the rest of us, including me, I don't think a 1 to 10 chance on a 3 or 4 year cycle and opportunity is worth the gamble. The risk reward just it doesn't add up in my mind for that. So I'll ladder out. And if I make 25%, 30% less than I could if I gambled, so be it. I treat literally everything I do like that. Let's go. Okay, I want to share my screen with one more thing. We were talking about laddering out. I'm just going to share something. I think this might be helpful. Let me just find it. By the way, okay, let me find it. It is going to be the Bull Run group. I'm just going to pull up one thing because people have questions about this laddering out stuff. Where are we here? What am I doing? Right. Don't mind me. I had a very weird morning today. Okay. Ba-ba-ba. Accumulation, laddering out. It's very, very simple. I wonder if I don't want to play the video here because that's going to take forever, but I know I have a bit of a video here. Let me just try and get a photo up. I think this is going to help. All right, there we go. Yeah, looking good there, Lucas. All right, so it's literally this simple, and I'm oversimplifying it. But let's just say you have an asset and it's worth, you know, it's worth $1 and you buy $1,000 of it. Maybe it's some kind of low cap thing, and you're really bullish on it because it has some really strong news. You're basically setting points up the ladder to where you think this asset could be worth. So let's just say you think this asset would be worth $10. You've done some analysis on it. You're looking what other people are saying. Maybe its all-time high was 8, 9, 10 last time, but maybe there's more in circulation now. Remember, last all-time highs, people get this wrong as well. They see it last all-time high and they're like, oh, we'll surpass that. Well, you also have to look at how many more tokens or coins are in circulation now. How many more coins or tokens are in circulation now? Because, and do we understand this? To hit the last all-time high, if there's twice as much in circulation, it's not apples and oranges. Now, if there's a limited supply, or if no new coins or tokens have been minted or released, and then we can compare apples to apples, so to speak. I hope I'm making sense with that. But let's just say, there's a million of these tokens here. There was last bull run. There is this bull run. It reached 8 last bull run. The team has developed stuff. They've worked on some new partnerships. You're really bullish on it, and you believe it'll be a $10 asset. What most people do is they'll buy it at $1. They buy $1,000 worth, and they're going to hold it. They're going to hold it, and they're going to hope it gets to $10, and then they're going to sell it. What typically happens is even if it hits $10, they're like, well, it's going to keep going. And it goes up a little higher. Now their portfolio is worth $11,000. And then it drops a little bit. And now from $11,000, their portfolio is worth $9,800. And psychologically, they're like, oh my God, I lost that money. I'll just wait till it gets back here. They're greedy. And it just keeps dropping, dropping, dropping until they can't handle it anymore. Then sometimes they're below what they even bought it for. I've seen this happen to so many people I knew last bull run. They all laughed. People will laugh at you. Let's just say you sell 20% when the coin or token, whatever we're talking about here, hits $2. So you sell 20%, you take $400 in profit. And you repeat that. Maybe you sell another 20%. Again, this is something you're going to have to set for yourself. You sell another 20%. You sell another 20%. I wonder if on this video I finish. Yeah, I do. Of course I do. Sweet. Oops. You sell another 20%, you sell another 20%. And I think what I was drawing here in this trading is most people are going to wait till, Bitcoin hits 100K. They still don't sell because they're greedy, or it gets to 92, the rug gets pulled. The 10% are taking their profit. They see a steep decline, and then they're bummed out and they think crypto is a scam. It's not, but it is a game of strategy. It is a game where, just the way the game is played, if we're talking about cycles and taking profit, most people are going to lose. Now, if you're just buying Bitcoin, stacking it because you see it as a hedge against inflation and the US dollar, and you're just like, I don't care what it's worth, very different game, and I commend that. But if we're looking to lock in profits so we can do something else with it or reinvest back in the cycle, so be it. And so just to be super transparent, like, yes, maybe it's $54,000 this last week. I'm sorry, 56. Things are going crazy this week. I think the Tangem is up by, that's where I hold most of my alts. The Tangem is up by more than that in terms of percentage. I hold about a third as much on Tangem. Pools are up, correlated pairs are up, yields are up because there's more action happening on markets. I'm going to take some of this profit. I don't even think we're close to the top, but I'm still disciplined to take some profits. Even though I think we're far from the top, I'm disciplined to take profits, because pullbacks, even, I mean, I could show you a chart, but pullbacks, even when markets are hot, there's been 20, 30, 40% pullbacks on big cap blue chip assets during heavy bull runs. And most people, they see that pullback, they can stomach 20%, they can stomach 30, at 35% they're out, they sell when that's the exact time they should be buying. And if we're taking profit on the way up, we can buy those dips back with the profits we've taken, as long as we're not emotionally and this is where the psychology of money f's most people, is they are emotionally attached to their money, and then they let their emotions make decisions for them. I'm going to pause here and put the mic back to y'all's. Anything land there? Hey, crypto crazy. Anything land? Can we take anything from that? I want y'all's making profits this cycle. That's what I'm getting at. I- Don't don't think you're better than the entire market. It will bite you. There are people who are doing this at a much higher level than most of us can even fathom, and there's manipulation in the markets. So unless you're, you know, it usually comes down to luck. I used to take a lot of trading classes, and I hung out with a lot of traders, and it was so interesting for them to be able to read a chart, see two completely different things, and one of them was always wrong, but they cut their losses quick and they ensured that their please take profit, Chris, 100%, the risk reward was in their favor every time, which is why I don't really play the trading game anymore. I just don't care. I don't actually care at all. I think it's all smoke and mirrors. It makes for good content, but people don't see the actual strategy behind the scenes. Is even if they're 50% right and wrong, which most traders literally are, 50% right, wrong, they have more reward than risk in every trade they do. And so over time, they win, even if they're 50-50. But they have more reward than risk. Whereas most people, they have way more risk than reward. Imagine your portfolio gets to, imagine this portfolio gets to, or at least that ledger account. I have a company and a personal, but imagine that ledger account gets to 800 grand. So let's just say it's at 800 grand. And I think it'll go higher. You're telling me I'm going to bet the whole farm to make an extra 20, to make an extra $30,000? It's like people are greedy. That's why I'm just diligent, because I am too. If I don't have a plan, I just get greedy. Yeah, and MMF make my fun. Trev, I'm the same. But what I'm getting at is, well, yeah, I won't get into that. But what I'm getting at is, I think a lot of people think they're smarter than the markets, and I see it a lot. You're not, which is also why I like yield farming, because I'm like, I'm not. I'm so over that game. I want steady cash flow. I see a lot of people locking their money up in assets, holding it for the bull run. And there's nothing fundamentally wrong with that. But what they don't understand is, as valuable as that may be, how much more valuable is your time? This is the easiest way I know how to explain why I do what I do. When people are like, you could have just made more holding. How much more valuable is your time? You have to answer that yourself. I can't answer that for you. Everyone has a different strategy. My time is way more important than all the money in the world. If Crypto Crazy came up to me and said, Lucas, here's 10 million bucks, but you can't touch it till you're 80, or I'll give you 5 grand a month for the rest of your life. That's going to be, again, I'm being a little extreme here, but 5,000 a month times 12 months equals times, I don't know, 40 years or something. Okay, that's a bad assumption. So, because that's $2.5 million. If Crypto Crazy said, hey, I'll give you 10 million bucks, but you can't touch it till you're 80, 10 million bucks, or I'll give you 5 grand a month, until you're 80. So that to me would be around 2.5 million. So I'm taking a quarter of what he's offered as a lump sum. But if I can't touch it, it's useless to me. I'd rather do the 5, because, depending what situation I was in life, I guess it would also be dependent on that. But let's just say I worked a job and I didn't enjoy it, or I was trying to figure stuff out. Now I don't have to work. I have my time back, so I can actually put it into skill development, personal development, spiritual development, learning more about myself, learning more about people. I studied freaking psychology for the longest freaking time because I really wanted to understand people. and understand myself and why I was effed up and why I do effed up things at times, like all of us do. Um, I want my time back. And I remember in my 20s, I didn't. I just wanted to make as much money. But no matter how much money I made, I was still stuck to work. I had a house, I had a mortgage, I had 2 cars, I had 2 motorcycles. I was doing the grown up thing. I was 26 at that time. And I got so depressed. 25. I was 25 or 26. I had a place just outside of Vancouver. Everyone's like, "You're so successful." Hated my job, hated my life, was doing drugs. No one knew that because it was prescription medication because I effed up my back, but I had to pay the mortgage and I didn't work for a union job. I was working on the oil rigs at the time. And at some point, I just had like a coming to like looking in the mirror and getting really real with myself. What up, noobsita? Um, are these material things worth it? Do I like the direction I'm going in my life? Everyone who's doing what I'm doing, who's 10 years ahead of me, do I want to have their life? And the answer was no. And I made a very drastic decision. To many people, to me, it was the thing I had to do, and I had to rip the band-aid off. I basically effed myself out of the job because on purpose, I burned the bridge really, really bad. So I could not go back to the job. Lost it. 3, 4, 5, maybe 6 months later, I was selling my place, and I didn't make any money off it. I just needed the equity I had in it. That was I only owned it for like a year and a half, but I needed the equity back because I was getting so deep into debt. Started a business, blah blah blah. Um, Sold the Jeep, sold the Beamer, and at 27 was living in a basement suite in North Vancouver at 500 or 600 a month with a family above me, riding my pedal bike. I was just talking to someone about this yesterday. Riding my pedal bike to the grocery store and balancing the grocery bags as I was riding home. And I was effing happier and more full of life and so on mission and on purpose when I had nothing compared to when I had everything when it comes to like the average middle class. I was making 100 grand a year, which, I guess would be considered good. After the tax man dips into it, 50% of that is gone anyways. Sub junior. Whereas when you start moving into the business and the investing, you're taxed very different. I think in one of my bigger years, anyway, I remember sharing this with a friend who's still on the rigs, and I think I made probably 12 times more that year than I ever did on the rigs. And my biggest year on the rigs was around 110 grand. I probably made 11 or 12 times more than that. And I paid almost the same amount of tax that I did when I worked on the rigs, 40, 50 grand in tax. And he was like, that is criminal. I'm like, it's not. The government is going to reward you. Taxes are not evil. Study the tax code. It's there to guide you um, into how to play the game. And I just want, anyway, won't get into that. So, I mean, if you make $1 million on your crypto and you sell it, you're going to be taxed very differently than $1 million of worked for income, depending what country you live in. But here, I'm only going to be taxed on half of that. Versus if I made $1 million working for the man, I'd be taxed at 40, 50% of that, probably more at the end of the day. Whereas if I make $1 million in gains tax on crypto, depending where you live, of course, but where I live, it's taxed at basically half of that. And only half of that million is taxed, is what I'm getting at. So I'm only taxed on 500 grand. Very different. It's why the rich get richer, because they become investors. Anywho, or they run a business, which is why I like the idea of a DeFi business. Damn tax man. I know. So the ladder out thing, can I just get a bit of a verbal commitment here as a small community here on YouTube that you are going to strongly consider, you are going to commit to making a plan for how you're going to take profit this cycle. And you're not going to be the majority of people who ride this thing all the way back down when the time comes. Because none of us can time the top. I don't care how much TA, I don't care how fancy you make the charts look and how fancy you know how to speak about it. I know it makes for good content. You're not going to time the top. We fall into the pattern because, someone is going to be right. Someone will time the top. Someone will. Most won't. And the person who did is lucky, or they have information that others don't have access to. And it's stressful. I'm just like, dude, If I'm wrong, which the probability of me being wrong is high. I know that. So I'll just ladder out. Stop listening to all the noise. There's a lot of noise out there. Charts this, charts that. Yeah. And you can never get you if you set a ladder out strategy, you'll literally never get it wrong if you do it right. As in, like, let's just say you hack up some charts and you think Bitcoin's going to go to 250K, let's just say, and you sell at 80, at 120, at 150, at 180, at 200, and you're selling, 10 or 15% on the way up, and it gets to 180, and then it drops down to 140, and then it starts its climb back up. There's going to be pullbacks. Now you put your capital back in and you stick to the same exact rules. And if it only gets to 190, you're 80% out. And if you have a rule that, hey, if it clicks down, one more of my rungs of my ladder, I liquidate the rest. You literally can't get it wrong. There's a ton of YouTube videos on that, like or even articles. Just like look it up. It's not super complicated, and you can do it however you want. The point is just lock in some profits. Deal? Sweet. Some of you have been asking me this as well. I started a new Instagram like a few weeks ago. Been kind of having fun with it, but it's given me a chance to personally connect with more people than YouTube has ever allowed me. And I'm not a really big fan of Discord or Twitter or any of those platforms because I think they're freaking cesspools. It's just people posting whatever they have to post to get engagement, and it's just to me it's an extremely toxic environment. So I did do an Instagram and had some really cool DM conversations with people. So feel free to follow it if you want. Um, don't if you don't want. It's all good, but I do enjoy because I can't DM on YouTube, and thank you God that we can't. But on Instagram, it's been pleasurable. I could see maybe if you had a really big account, it would be annoying, but I'm not in the age of getting validation from how many followers I have. I think young people fall into that, but I really don't care. I just want the right people hanging out, being cool. Quick other thing too, and then we're gonna get into some. I just want to cover one last thing to ensure that your DeFi business can be profitable. Yeah, I hate Discord too. So our community's cool, and the UIG, I think most people are under the same. They're business owners. They're seeing it very differently. We would kick someone out if they started like FOMOing into some coin and promoting it and saying you got to get into this meme coin. I'm just like, hey, this community is not for you. We're business owners and we're taking profit. We make money. All right. Let me go like this. I say that with respect, I guess. I think I'm kind of sounding ignorant today. I'm just kind of like, dude, I don't care what anyone thinks today. I'm just sharing my truth. Okay. I want to show you one more lesson. Please screenshot this so you can have it. This is the UIG, by the way. Let's go into the DeFi Earner Portfolio Challenge. We have 7 quests that work through different strategies as you scale your portfolio. I want to talk about the entering and exiting liquidity pool criteria. We actually have a really cool, like entry and exit worksheet to ensure that you have the highest probability of becoming profitable in your farms. By the way, a lot of people, I saw this comment somewhere, oh, dude, you sound like you don't know anything. Actually, I'm going to pull this comment up because it's funny. Well, I'll do it in a minute here. I actually pinned it to one of the videos because I'm like, I got to bring this point across because I think this point is going to go deeper than just what I have to say on YouTube. I remember I never went to college, never went to university, never had any of that. I felt really, really stupid and inadequate in my 20s. When I got around other entrepreneurs or people doing things, I felt like they're going to find out that I'm dumb. Like literally that's how I felt. So I walked around with this kind of, um, what's it called? Like a inferiority complex. Like I felt, um, inferior to, or like, I don't inadequate. I'm looking for the right word. Because I felt like I had nothing figured out. I did get amazing mentors who were like 100 times ahead of me, and they're like, "Dude, I also feel like I don't have anything figured out. So like, you're not alone." And I'm like, "So thank you for saying that, because no one else admits to that. Everyone tries to make themselves seem perfect on social media, and I'm just like, that's just not reality. That's not the truth." even the people at the top. It's not the truth. And I've met some of those people in different industries. And I appreciate their vulnerability when they're willing to say, man, I'm figuring it out. But anyways, feel like I'm an imposter. There it is. When I got into the crypto space, I'm like, whoa, this space is big. There is no way that I'm going to be able to know everything, nor will I try, and nor will I pretend. How do I find the right people to build a team that collectively we can know as much as we possibly can know? So, how do I surround myself with technical analysts so they can actually help make sense of charts and help guide me in some of my investment decisions? So, I have a little bit of a, and again, I'm not talking short, trying to freaking day trade or looking at something for a couple days. I'm looking, hey, let's zoom out. Let's look at a few key indicators. Let me run this past 2 or 3 people and see what they think so I can make my own decision up. How do I get around someone who can really research something? You should see Maddie and Colin's depth of research. You should see David's level of technical analysis. I don't know who in here, MMF make my fun. I've seen a few people from the UIG here, but it's like I we all have our strengths and then we all have our weaknesses. And I think a lot of people are trying to play the crypto DeFi game in a silo, thinking that they can know everything. You won't. Even if you study it, you're going to have strengths and weaknesses and different strengths and weaknesses, different natural abilities. And so, whatever you got to do, get around others who can fill your weaknesses. And I have many, and I'm aware of that. So let me just surround myself with people who have strengths. So I think it was which video was it? I think it was this one actually. Um, share my screen. All right, and then we're gonna move into it. Bryce Nelson, what's up? Thank you for being here. There we go. Yeah. Respectfully, you seem fraudulent. I've watched a few of your vids, and you seem to know as much about the space as any other beginner. You might have other groups or people you follow feeding you advice. Like I literally don't. I don't look at what anyone else is doing because it's easy to start copying or following. And I'm just like, we're gonna build a team that we can make up our own mind. You don't know much actual information regarding price action, TA. I know people are on our team who are literally the best of the best. Diversification, relevant news. We do have Colin Maddie on the team for that. Anytime you're on camera with another person who knows their stuff, that's always our team, by the way. When I bring people on our YouTube channel, that's our team. They know a lot. They're extremely smart. But anywho, and I appreciate your guys' backup. It was fun to read some of this. Crypto Phil, shout out to Crypto Phil. James, shout out to James. It was fun to read some of this stuff. Hot Rod Buyers, shout out to you. Hot Rod said something. You can't just give everything. He wouldn't have a course to offer. I don't care to give out all the information. To me, I think information should be free. The information is out there. It's the implementation. It's the joining a community. It's the we collectively spend 10 hours pretty much every single day, and there's 6 people on the team. So that's 60 hours per day delivering a service. So if someone actually wants our time and our energy and our community and our expertise and our hundreds of hours of research and our daily articles, now we do a Wednesday top pool. We actually do the TA on it. So I'll show you what that looks like. That's in the DeFi investor group, by the way. And the one is coming out today. But here last week was Injective USDC. David does our TA, and he does a really freaking good job of it. We do set ranges. By the way, we're always in each pool that we'll recommend. We test it as well. Tons of research done on the platforms. Like, yeah, that's not free. Like we charge for it because back in the day, it was more SUI and setting ranges for SUI. It's just like, if you want access to community and all of that, pay. If you don't, it's fine. The stuff is free on the internet. You can find it. But what is your time worth? Ultimately, that's what we optimize for. Anywho, I want to show you one more thing here. Let's go here. Entering and exiting liquidity pool. Please screenshot this, take notes, whatever you got to do. Again, the information, I'm happy to give out information for free. I don't care. It's not like, I can't give everything out because then I don't have a course to sell. I give a shit about selling the course. The information is great inside, but it's the community. It's the access to people who have been doing this for a long time. It's the, hey, I did some TA on this asset. I want to enter in this range. What do you think of it? Let's see what some of the latest is. Tom, first time out of range. Should I wait or should I snuggle? And it's getting access to a community that will help you do TA on the asset and make some decisions, not just TA, but some fundamental analysis and actually look behind the scenes and what is the project doing and what partnerships do they have and what's the news surrounding this project. All together, you can make a better decision instead of doing it yourself. And that's what it's all about. We also have portfolio reviews, by the way. So you can submit your portfolio and get a review of your portfolio. As you can see here, Frank is now on Quest 5, which I think is a hundred. That's $3,000 a month he's at, and he was sharing some. No, that's $100 a day. That's right. So 7-day realized profit was 551. So he's just entering the 100-day, and everyone shares their experience. I got to interview him for a client win. Although it was really cool to be interviewed by someone who had re-inspired me to get back into DeFi through his YouTube videos, that gave me a lot of pressure to step up my portfolio. Pressure is good. So that's what we charge for. The information, it's free on YouTube. You could probably find it. It's the support. And we devote a lot of time into our members. All right, I'm going to stop talking about how awesome the UIG is because I am biased, I guess. I'll always say it's the best, but I truly believe that. Before entering a position, before getting into something, please don't, when I share this, before I share one of these platforms that I've been playing with, the P&Ls are crazy. Can I please get a verbal commitment that you will not share or that you will not copy this? I'm not going to continue until I get some of that. I do not want you copying these. There are some leverage positions in here, and they're volatile in nature. They're not, I wouldn't get into this unless you're just getting into it with a very little amount. If I don't get it, I won't share it. That's why I try not to share projects on YouTube, because people will just copy it. Like, please do not copy what I'm about to show you, because you will most likely get wrecked. I've been in this for a month now, so I am playing on house money by now. But I just want to show you an example of something. I know there's a lag, so I'm going to keep waiting till I see the comments saying, I will not get into this, especially if you're newer to yield farming. All right. All right. Well, Yar is kicked out of the room. Don't do it, Yar. Promise. Promise don't do this. Okay, I'm going to share my screen. Where are we here? So there we go. I'm in some leverage positions here. This one's not working out the exact way I wanted to, but I'm up $600 here. I put 486 here at 2x leverage for a different pool, this time on the USDC side. That's up twice. This position I went in with 1,200. It's now worth $1,600. Plus, it's making me around $20 a day. P&L though is around 17%, doing about $61 per day. I also am doing some lending. Oh my goodness, this is right now at 68%, but that won't hold, so I might go into that. Some other stuff here. I mean, I got $62 worth of yield on Render Soul, doing about 0.5% per day, fairly correlated. So that's been doing really, really well. Doing cake on Pancake Swap with USDT cake, BNB cake. Osmosis, I did just get out of my pool, and I'm looking for my next pool. I started with around $4,800. I think I have 5,600 now is what the Osmosis is worth. Right now, I'm just holding Osmosis for some price appreciation. Turbos, we all know. But what I'm getting at is, if you are going to enter liquidity pools, any of the ones I just talked about, or any ones you look at, I want you to ask some key questions. A, would I hold these assets long term? Yes or no? That gives you a little bit of peace if prices drop, because you'd be holding the damn asset the whole time. Is there any utility for the token and asset? We always start with fundamental analysis. We don't really care about the technical analysis until before getting into something. I'm looking at utility. And on top of that, does the asset have a strong foundation? Then so you could look at like this analyst here. There's really no utility. Market cap is under 250 million. We don't F with that. And the asset was created 6 days ago. I will not get into this pool, even if it was offering me 5,000%. On the flip side, here's a link wrapped ETH. High level of utility on both assets, Market cap is 8.3 billion. I'm good with that. And a long track record. We have several years of data. Okay. And you can get some really nice yields on link wrapped ETH, by the way. 2, we look at TVL of the pool. We go for a minimum 250K. I like to see at least a million typically because the ratios won't fluctuate so much and there's other risks you take on when you go into a low TVL pool. This pool here, they may be offering you 267%, but the tokens don't have utility. Don't know what there's not enough data, and there's $10,000 of TVL. We look for something with at least 250. Hey, look at this link wrapped ETH, but it's not 200%. I get it. I understand. But are you willing to lose it all? To me, the risk reward is not worth that. $35 million TVL. This is a nice big blue chip, fairly correlated pair that has done really well over the last few months for us and our members. Correlation, we can get into the correlation. You can look on DeFi Llama, the correlation matrix is on the left-hand side, bottom. Basically, one is perfectly correlated and they're further from one, obviously less correlated. We're looking for a correlated pair in bullish trend. ETH and Link is a 0.7 over the last 7 days as of this training, of course, which this was months ago, so could be different. And then we look at trends. Are things trending down? Are things trending sideways? We like sideways. And of course, we like slight uptrends or sideways trends, even if they're, it's sideways with just a little bit of a downtrend. Your yields can still outpace impermanent loss. Plus, if it's an asset you believe in long term, then you can stack that asset. So when things get looking like that again, your stacked assets appreciate in price really damn quick. And then you can flip to more correlated pairs during an uptrend. Give me a thumb up if that makes sense. Then we look at volumes return. So this is how we assess if a liquidity pool is even worth looking at. If we get to number 5, we're like, hey, this could be really profitable. We look at volume returns. So we want the volume is equal or greater than TVL. We're seeing unreal returns right now because the volume is so much higher than TVLs in a lot of pools. What's this render one at? Do I still have it up? Yeah. Liquidity is 2.3 million. 24-hour volume has been 5, so it's double, which is why it's doing 0.5% per day. So we want our volume being higher than the liquidity. Again, if we want those juicy returns, and to me, it's risk reward. If I'm going to put liquidity up, I want to get rewarded for it. And then we finally look at DEX. Is it a trusted DEX with a track record, a high TVL, good daily volume? Are they trusted? So we're not getting into some whack DEX that just rug pulls. We're not into that. I could keep going. We do also look at the blockchain. Blockchain, more so for fees. If you're working with a smaller amount, you won't want to be on Ethereum mainnet. As you can see, fees are really high. But on Arbitrum, Optimism, Avalanche, Polygon, I do some stuff on Moonbeam. What do I have in that freaking Moonbeam wallet? Probably nothing. I played with a couple $100, but it's probably worth a lot more right now. Oh yeah, that's probably a 4 or 5x gain. Super small amount, super degen-y. I think this thing has like $1 million TVL right now. But anyways, I do put a couple grand here and there into really small cap stuff, but it's a very small portion of my portfolio. I'm extremely boring investor. What I just covered, does that help? Do you feel like that gives you a bit of a framework as to how to look at these pools? Because a lot of people will just copy me, but sometimes you're watching a video from 3 weeks ago and it's just like, I'm not even in that anymore. I'm out of my osmosis pool because it stopped meeting some of this criteria. And then I want to move that liquidity to something that's meeting that criteria. Does that help? Let's go. Sweet. Okay, no copy, won't copy. I'm definitely going to copy, Yar says. I won't. Saving up to join the UIG. You're going to love it. I won't do it. I will copy, Ahmed says. Do your thing, bro. Doja Shop got the best pools and farms on Cosmos. I went on it. Yep. Crazy Noodle says, I will delete you. Love it. I will copy. Love it. Great. Awesome. Good. Don't copy the pools. Don't copy the ranges. But definitely, if you didn't take screenshots, go through this recording and take screenshots of our 7 rules. um, they will be a guiding light to making this DeFi business profitable for you. I think Turbos in and of itself is doing over $100 per day. XtraFi is doing me 60 to 70 per day. Orca, not so much. It's a 0.5% on 5 grand. So what is that? 1% is 50, probably $25, $30 a day. So not crazy. Well, it's all relative, of course. Um, and then of course, again, um, moving, I won't even bother to share it. It doesn't matter. Moving a lot of my profits into the bull run bag, which has appreciated a lot. I think it was around $50,000 just this week. That ain't too bad. I used to work half a year in the freaking freezing cold in northern Canada, drilling for oil. I started as a roughneck, then I was a motor hand, then I was a derrick hand, then I was assistant driller, and kind of a whatever they call what do they call those? Anyway, basically an assistant driller. And then I was like, F these politics. I'm not becoming a driller because I got to deal with Calgary office and they're always down your neck about some politics. I went back to being a derrick hand because people leave you alone. You just take care of the mud and you do your thing. That was 10 years ago now, maybe even more, 11 years ago. But probably the most brutal job anyone can ever ask for. So I'm extremely grateful for my reality now of, oh, I just made 50K this week. I'll take half of that as profit. Just came back from California, rented a Lambo for 4 or 5 days, bought myself a supercar. Like, damn. And I don't even care about that material shit, but it's just the contrast. Who here has had a difficult life? Who here, I'll end it with this. Who here has had a difficult life? It wasn't easy for you. You had the blessing and the pleasure of having it hard. My hand is up. I promise you, and you probably already know this, when you get to the other side of that and you're blessed with seeing this side of life and now you get to play in this side of life, the level of gratitude that you'll feel far surpasses what most people can ever feel. I'm a dude, clearly. I might get banned off YouTube here. Maybe I can't say that, but I'm a guy. I'm a male. And I possess quite a bit of sort of a masculine energy of like I just always have. I tear up probably a couple times a week in just pure gratitude for life. And I've been feeling that for probably the last 2.5 years. It just comes in waves because I know what life was like living a very different reality. And I think if I didn't get through those difficult times or if I didn't get to experience those, I'd take a lot for what I have for granted. Um, I'm at a place, I was just talking to someone about this yesterday. If everything got taken away from me tomorrow, F it. Like, it's all a gift. It's just depending where you come from. So, um, if you've had it difficult, just know that it might not you might just be like, F crypto, DeFi, I don't care about any of this shit, whatever. But whatever it is you choose to do in life, on the other side of that, the success feels so much sweeter. And it's not like an ego, like, I'm successful, look at me. I actually put the R8 away. I'll share one more story if you guys want. I put the R. I've got an R8, and I don't know. I just over the last year and a half, I just picked up all this stupid fancy stuff: a Rolex, a gold Rolex, like all this stupid stuff, status symbols. Because it's things that I always thought I wanted. And I took the girlfriend's SUV out to go to Starbucks a few days ago, a week and a half ago, and I was dressed like a bum. I was working in the shop, so I was all dirty because I build bikes for fun. And I actually noticed that usually people come out, they talk to me about my car, my watch starts conversations. I wasn't wearing any of that, right? Because I really don't care. But I noticed a part of me was like, hey, where's the validation? And I was like, ooh, that's dangerous. That's dangerous, Lucas. Came home, did some praying, meditating on it for a few days, and I came to the realization that um some of that stuff was starting to suck me in. And where I came from, I don't even know what a Rolex was or an R8 or I don't know what a Gucci was. I don't know what any of that stuff was. It's all just freaking bullshit. But I realized that, hey, this stuff, the validation, you're on a pod validation. You're out and someone's stopping you for your car, or I got this freaking loud straight exhaust now. So people are always just coming up. Validation, validation, validation. And I was like, hold up, I just want to feel validated just for me. I used to ride a pedal bike to the grocery store at 26 because I had no money and I felt okay with myself. I want to feel okay whether I have stuff or not, whether I'm doing well or I'm not, whether I got the car or I don't. So I've been making it a thing this week where every time I go, I think it's driving the girlfriend crazy. I'm dressed like a bum, Crocs with socks. I take the SUV out. I've literally been thinking about buying like an 80s Ford, like a little 150, 250. Um, just an old beater to just drive that to constantly remind myself that I am the material things and the success that you build does not define you. And a lot of people fall into that. I spent 3 weeks in LA. I hung out with people with Lambos and supercars, and I could see it. It was like the thing itself wasn't being enjoyed. It was the attachment and the identity they identified with it. And you can see it. And I'm like, that's dangerous because what if you lose that? Then what happens to you? Or what if whatever? And so um, something I came to realize about a year ago or a few weeks ago. And I was like, oh, yeah, I never want to be that person. And it's like, I could understand how people get trapped in that. So, Lucas, calm the fuck down, humble your damn self, um, and just try to spread love and a good message and an honest message. And I think what we see a lot on Instagram right now, and I get it, because every time I share something fancy, it gets way more likes, way more engagement. And I understand I have to play the game a little bit. I get that. But a lot of what you see on social media is just about that. And it's not real. Like, it's not real. And it's meant to be enjoyed. I'm not gonna lie to you. Like, I love driving my car, or I love going somewhere cool. But it's not it. It's not it. I've seen a lot of people hit success and get money in the bank and then go through some of their deepest, darkest depressions. I did that 5 years ago. Started doing really, really well in a business, and I went through some of my worst depression after that because I'm like, well, what now? Um, don't fall for that trap. Don't fall for the trap. And if you get to a position where, like Crypto Phil here, um, let's just say he gets the Porsche or the Lambo or the McLaren. It's like, can we enjoy the item yet staying unattached from it? The neighbor was like, every time he passes, he's like this, like he just loves the car. So yesterday I texted him and I was like, dude, like, want to take my car for a rip? And so he jumped in and took it for a rip. And it's just like, that gave me more pleasure to share it with someone and let someone else experience it than like, I literally was like dirty for all last week. It just every item just becomes a thing. It's just like, oh yeah, okay, cool. Now it's just a thing. Don't make this game about that. Get it, enjoy it, whatever, but don't let it define you. Don't let your crypto portfolio define you. Don't let your gains define you. And I think you will end up doing so much better for it because you're less attached to it. You're less emotionally attached to it, so you make better decisions. Is that a deal to end things on a positive note? I appreciate y'all. This YouTube channel has been so fun to start. It just started as a hobby. But it's become a lot of fun. I get a lot of enjoyment from it. There are times where I'm like, dude, maybe I just will delete the YouTube channel because I literally don't care. Um, but as of right now, I enjoy doing it, so we'll keep doing it. We'll keep doing it. The receptivity to it, and I think the level of conversation that I see on most of the videos, and knowing that if each video just helps one person, I'm good. My day is complete. I feel good. It's 11 o'clock a.m. today. Probably gonna go work on my bike now for a bit. If it helps one person, we're good. And it seems to attract the right people into our community. Like, the right people join our community because of it. So we'll keep her going. Sweet. Appreciate y'all. Toyota Prius. Yeah, my problem is I really love cars. Really love cars. Like, if I lived on a deserted island and no one ever saw me, I would still drive the car I drive. Um, because it's I personally just really enjoy it. I just started catching myself getting validation from people for it. And I was like, "Oh, that's dangerous. Let's calm that down. We're gonna park it for a week or two. You're not gonna drive it anywhere, and you're gonna drive the girlfriend's SUV." Which just sounds so pretentious. Oh, I have to drive my girlfriend's SUV. I bought her an Audi. Um, like 6 months ago. I was like, I have to drive the Audi, but it's just like the slow little thing. So I know how ignorant that sounds, but I used to drive on. I used to drive a lot of beaters. Literally, the Trans Ams. This is so funny. I should find a photo. I drove a Trans Am, but it was I think I bought it for like $1,000. Fully rusted. It had the T tops, rusted, burnt oil. Finally, I seized the engine. It had a Chevy 350 in it. Maybe it had the Pontiac 3. What Pontiac had? They had like a 355 or 358 or 356, something like that. Pontiac kind of had basically it was a small block Chevy, but anyway, doesn't really matter. I mean, it was actually a different block completely. But anywho, I think it had the Chevy 350 in it, but it was just like just a and uh I grew up in a trailer park, wasn't living in a trailer park at the time, but I did have some friends still who lived in a trailer park, and I would drive this. I was probably 20, I was probably 19, but I was driving this rusted up Trans Am. Didn't have a mullet. I should have though. I did wear beaters a lot, and it would just smoke down the highway. Finally, the engine seized, and it wasn't worth doing anything with it, so I just threw it to the scrapyard. But I've driven a lot of shit beaters, um, and it brings so much. I think my first nice car I bought was like a Beamer 3 Series. It was like a 318, really low model of it, but you're filled with so much joy. Whereas if someone never got to, and it was just like the most base model, like it cost what a Honda Civic cost, but I was filled with so much joy, and it lasted the whole time I owned that car. Because if you have polarity in your life, if you've been to the lows, you'll be able to feel highs that maybe someone who's only been here won't be able to feel those highs. Because literally, that's universal law, the law of polarity. So I never forget those days, and I hope that anyone here who's had it difficult never forgets their difficult days. Don't ignore it. Don't pretend they didn't happen. Don't be ashamed of it. Don't be ashamed to share the story. Anyone who judges you for it literally isn't even worth your time, because no one ahead of you, or no one who. How many times I see something on social media where I'm like, I so disagree with that, and then I just move on because I'm like, they're doing their thing. It's like I couldn't even imagine stopping and like writing something. I'm just like, dude, my time's too precious. Remember, anyone ahead of you is not going to make fun of you for your story or where you're coming from. They're actually going to want to support you. It's only the people who are jealous or behind you that will try and make you feel insecure because you drove a 1970s Firebird that was rusted and you didn't go to school and have no education. Um, keep going. That is my closing thought. Keep going, please. Your life is meaningful and it's worth it. And I do believe you're here to do something um, to make an impact. And your life matters. I've known some people who didn't think that. And, you know, I wish they could have heard that their life matters. Deal? Cool. Then I'm going to get out of here. And I'm sure we'll see y'all soon. If you're in the UIG, come say hi, jump in, hit up our opportunity of the week that comes out today. Then we have a portfolio review call right after. We're going to be looking at some portfolios live, reviewing them. David's holding that one. Tomorrow we have our TA call, so bring any assets you want to do some technical analysis on. And I always say that. And that's my lack of schooling right there. And then Friday, we have our end of week report. So definitely join that. And if you're on YouTube, like, subscribe, and hang out on YouTube. Totally cool. We try to create as awesome content as we can for you. If you rather the free route, which it's totally cool. Deal? What I will do, because I will drop this for anyone who wants to join us or at least explore what it is we're doing. Our website is going through some pretty big changes right now. So hopefully the website is working for you. If it's not, it will be. Um, you can get 20% off your first month, and it is month to month. We don't lock you in. We have to provide a meaningful service, and we have to provide value to you every single week for our members to stay. I think it's the fairest exchange. Remember, if you're not paying for something, you are the product. That's why I don't have free YouTube. I pay for it. Because if I'm not paying for YouTube, then I'm the product. People think that things are free. It's never free. Ever, ever free. So um, that's why I don't use Facebook. Although you can now pay for Facebook. So maybe I rarely use Facebook just to connect with some old people. Because I'm the product of Facebook. I'm just served all these ads and served all these things. Plus, the level of service and the level of quality of information you receive will never be as good. Um, So I believe in that model. I pay for a lot of services. I've got 2 coaches right now I pay over 12 grand a month for. Um, and obviously people on the team. I probably I probably have a 40 or 50K a month burn in my life. But I believe in paying for quality help, paying for service, paying for the best accountant I can find so I'm not stressed with my accounting, and then I can focus all of my time on doing what I do best and what fills me with life. Um, But of course, some people think differently, and that's totally fine too. I just want to pay for it. I want to pay for stuff because I get it. I get it's I get it. I want the best. I guess I'll just put it that way. Um, but anywho, that's my time. Appreciate y'all's being here. Straight pipes with glass packs. What was that? Was that like remember the cherry bombs? Is that what they called them? You like welded onto your Civic. I welded. I think they were called cherry bombs or cherry blasters. No, cherry bombs. You get them at like Canadian Tire. With different diameters, and you just weld it onto your exhaust. I had a Firefly 3-cylinder, 5-speed Firefly, not the turbo. Same thing as a Geo, same thing as a whatever that is. Uh, and I welded on one of those cherry, I think they were called cherry bombs or cherry blasters. They were an exhaust. It was like a straight pipe. It was like a muffler that, anyway, probably no one knows what I'm talking about because it was a long time ago. I don't know if they still make those, but you get them for like $50 and your car sounds like a race car. It was a purple Firefly, 4-door, 3-cylinder. You could get it up to like 60 miles an hour if you were downhill, and uphill you were on it. Good times. Good times. Alrighty. I'm gonna get out of here. Appreciate y'all. We'll talk soon.